Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Rotoballer Radio Waiver Wire Series. I'm your host, Anthony Aniano. Happy to be with you here today as we take a look at the Week 4 waiver wire for the wide receiver position. Guys, don't forget, in order to win big in 2021 with Rotoballer.com's NFL Premium Pass, are you ready to dominate your season-long and DFS leagues? Rotoballer's NFL Premium Pass and Draft Kit includes rankings, projections, and cheat sheets for all formats. Get exclusive DFS tools, lineup optimizers, and premium Slack chats. Join in on the winning and take 50% off any premium pass. Use my promo code ACES for another 10% discount. Visit rotoballer.com/radio. Sign up today and start rotoballing like a boss. All right, everybody. I have 7 wide receivers available here in most leagues to pay attention to as you work the waiver wire and deal with wide receiver injuries, right? Deontay Johnson doesn't play in Week 3. T. Higgins doesn't play in Week 3. And then we lose A.J. Brown, Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, and Juju Smith-Schuster to injury during the week, okay? So we look at the wide receiver, and number 1 for me, Tim Patrick, led by Teddy Bridgewater and the Denver Broncos. Okay, 22 targets now on the season. I continue to focus on volume. Deshaun Jackson had a big game, right? 3 catches, what was it, 120 yards? Not enough volume for my liking. When I see a guy like Tim Patrick, 22% rostered, 22 targets on the year, 5 catches, 98 yards on 5 targets, 14.8 fantasy points. That's what I'm interested. Tim Patrick faces Baltimore next week, a nice matchup against a secondary that has struggled at times this year. Tim Patrick sits at number 1. At number 2 for me at the wide receiver position, Emmanuel Sanders of the Buffalo Bills. Okay, 20 targets through 3 games, and finally comes through with a big fantasy game in Week 3. 6 of those 20 targets, 5 receptions, 94 yards, and 2 touchdowns in what was an offensive explosion for the Buffalo Bills. 26.4 fantasy points for Emmanuel Sanders. Good matchup against the Houston Texans next week. They should be able to put up points. And right now, when this Buffalo offense is operating like they're capable of, there is enough to go around for Sanders, Beasley, and Diggs. Number 3 for me, the safest play at the wide receiver position. The safest floor. And I mentioned him last week, and I'll mention him again. Hunter Renfrow of the Las Vegas Raiders. 22 targets through 3 games. Notice my top 3 ads. 22 targets, 20 targets, and 22 targets through 3 games. Hunter Renfrow's only 11% rostered. Yet, 5 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown in the overtime game this week for the Las Vegas Raiders. Had 6 targets, 18.7 points. And they face a Charger game. This should be a fun game to watch. Both offenses are able to put up points. Both quarterbacks are playing terrific. Hunter Renfrow, the safest play. 3 straight games of at least 10 fantasy points. Hunter Renfrow, I'm going for safety there if I'm looking to fill in the back end of my wide receivers in my lineup. Number 4 for me at the wide receiver position, Sammy Watkins of the Baltimore Ravens. Why? Targets, targets, targets. 22 of them through 3 games for Sammy Watkins. Marquise Brown had a couple of drops this past week. Watkins only 23% rostered. Only 4 catches for 68 yards, but was targeted 7 times. Another 10.8 points for Sammy Watkins as he remains a target favorite of Lamar Jackson. Okay, on the road in Denver, tough matchup. Denver just shut out the miserable New York Jets. But no doubt, Sammy Watkins is there. We have Patrick 1. We have Sanders 2. Renfrow 3. Sammy Watkins 4. Number 5, A.J. Green of the Arizona Cardinals. 15% rostered. He's got 18 targets through 3 games. He has 2 games this season of at least 13 fantasy points. And this week goes on only 15% rostered, like I said. 6 targets, 5 receptions, 112 yards, 16.2 fantasy points. Fun matchup against the Rams in Week 4. 2 more to mention. Another Raider, Bryan Edwards. A boom or bust type of player, but really emerging as a go-to guy for Derek Carr in a big playmaking role. Not the safety net that Hunter Renfrow is, but 15 targets in his last 3. 2 of the 3 games this season, though, over 80 receiving yards for Bryan Edwards. Only 3 receptions on 5 targets. That's why I don't love it. He doesn't have the target volume the other wide receivers that I've mentioned today have. But nonetheless, against the Chargers, just under 12 fantasy points in week 3 and only 17% rostered. And my final wide receiver add of the week, James Washington of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you might be saying, really, Anthony? James Washington? He went 3 for 20. He only had 5 targets. He didn't do anything. Injuries are slowly taking over the Steelers wide receiver room. That's just a fact. Deontay Johnson, Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool was banged up. Okay, James Washington is going to have to assume more of a role, and he's been an effective NFL wide receiver in the past. Pittsburgh's should be playing from behind next week on the road in Green Bay, okay, forcing Ben Roethlisberger to throw. He cannot throw to his running back, Najee Harris, 19 times again. You're not going to win doing that. Got to get the ball down the field. James Washington has that ability, so he should be involved. And he's only 1% rostered. So if you wanted a list of all the wide receivers I said, right? If you wanted to go Patrick 1, Sanders 2, Renfrow 3, AJ Green 4, Watkins 5, Edwards 6, and then James Washington 7, you do that and you throw the $1 bid down on James Washington. Perfectly okay. But again, his role, as assuming Deontay Johnson is out, assuming Juju Smith-Schuster is out, Washington steps into a role. And that's why I'm only bidding $1 on James Washington. That if these other players are active, I don't lose much on acquiring James Washington. All right, everybody. Don't forget, give me a follow on Twitter at Aniano Fantasy. Hopefully you have, and if you haven't, make sure you do. Check out the Rotoballer Radio Waiver Wire Series running back show. Check out the quarterback tight end show right here on Rotoballer's YouTube channel or wherever you listen to the Rotoballer Radio podcast. Make sure you sign up for that premium package. Use that promo code ACES. Save yourself a little bit of money. And make sure you check out on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio each and every morning. Rotoballer Radio, Real Talk Raf, Josh Hayes, myself, and Rotoballer Game Day Sundays, Josh Hayes and the King, Scott Angle. All right, everybody. Stay smart. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. Have a good one, folks.